Pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. Because we got a lot. When I tell you a lot, look at this. Look at this. It's a double recap. If you're new here, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. We are on the way to 6,000. We want to get to 10,000. That's my next big goal. I hit 5,000 for the year. That was my goal for the year, and I hit it already, so that's great. But please also thumbs up the video. Please thumbs up the video. Please drop in the comments. I want to hear y'all. I want y'all to interact with me. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. This was a heavy premiere. Like the first, I'm pretty sure y'all probably felt the same way I did watching this. For the majority of this conversation, I was very tense watching it. I felt like I was holding my breath the whole time. But we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. But I do want to, well, we're going to get into it. But thumbs up the video. Let's try and get 400 likes on this video. I think we can do it. Like with Baddies, I typically get a lot of interactions. Let's try and shoot for 400 likes. Share the video, subscribe, comment. Let's go, because we're going to be here for a minute. So pull up a chair. It's probably going to be an hour long. It's a double recap, episode 1 and 2. Let's go. All right, so we start off. Obviously, they do the trailer from last season. Immediate skip for me. But we get a sneak peek of all the fights that we're going to see this season, essentially. The notable ones, we see Tommy pull out the you-know-what and get the popping in St. Louis. We see Tesehki and Bad Dolly, pretty much the same thing that we've already seen. But we see Jayla and Ivory. I thought Big Ivory was supposed to be tearing Jayla up. Jayla was in there with her. It was giving Ty. Watching what I saw, it was giving Ty. Jayla was in there. Big Jayla, y'all want to see her get her ass beat so bad. But like I said, Jayla, y'all want to say she's not a heavy hitter? Okay. I'll let you have that. She's not a heavy hitter. I'm going to let you have that. She's produced damage, but if y'all want to call her not a heavy hitter, she's not a heavy hitter to y'all. But she's a smart fighter. That's number one. She always finds a way to not lose. That's because she's smart. Why? Because she always has that head up. I don't know if y'all noticed that. Her head is always up. Ivory likes to fight in too with her head down. So we'll see what happens. But we start off with Natalie's song, the Baddies song that has kind of went viral. She got another song that's going viral. But I don't know if y'all picked up on it, but Natalie's fake hood accent, she can't even say certain words properly because she's trying to force this hood vernacular that is not natural to her. So it was just hilarious to me. But we get the beginning scene, the Baddies MidWest private jet. Oh my God, my foot, y'all. Y'all, I think I broke my toe. That's number one. I stubbed my toe so bad, I took the skin off of my toe. And my toe is not moving, so it's bothering me. So I'm gonna try and get through it though. But Natalie's the first person to get up to the jet, saying the same shit that she always does. We already know. But the cities they're going to this year or this season, it's a lot of them: Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Milwaukee. Which I can't wait because Big Shroom. Y'all don't know. If you didn't know, I started watching Now There's TV, Young and Reckless, season 1 and 2 this past weekend. Big fan of Mel. We know Mel is coming at the end of the season to get Ivory, but we know she's from Milwaukee. They're going to Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Honolulu. So we got all those cities that we know we're going to be talking about this shit till April. But Jayla and Scotty pull up. Scotty saying the same stupid shit she always does. Like, come on. Jayla, face card. Beautiful. Beautiful. She said, I'm coming with the looks, being the boss, and the true Jayla Mina that I am. Tesehki, Anna, and Biggie. And let me tell you about Biggie. Biggie is getting nothing from me until she defends herself. I'm barely going to talk about Biggie unless she has a scene. Just going to keep it real with you. Because she don't have no business. And when I say a scene, she has a storyline. Something that's building. And she has to defend herself for me to really give her a lot of time. Because I'm not talking about her punk ass. She does not deserve to be on the show after what she pulled at that reunion. But Anna is off injury reserve. So, Anna, I expect you to be in the field. We know the difference between her and Biggie is she might pick and choose, but when it's brought to her, she's not going to let somebody just hit her and not do nothing about it. Biggie will, as we saw. So I don't have where Biggie and Anna is. I don't have as big of an issue with Anna as I do with Biggie. But her punk ass, Biggie is in her confessionals talking, I wasn't paying attention. Tesehki the Eater, Rollie. Y'all know I don't like her. I don't. But she has had a major glow up. Her confessional look, she looked really, really, really pretty. Like, really pretty. And you could tell the work has been done. She need to knock them knees next. That's number one. That's number one. But the cheap intro, I'm pissed off that they did not try to go back to the drawing board and kind of give us what they gave Baddies West. Baddies West was the best intro. Baddies South probably was the second best. But Caribbean and this, terrible. Terrible. But they cheers. They get on the jet and everything. And they cheers to going to the Midwest, Baddies Midwest, doing the Baddie shot o'clock. You already know. Tesehki's confessional look. She looked good. She looked very rich. She had this white fur on, the blonde wig. She looked good. Tesehki looked good. But Natalie obviously is doing her speech that she normally does, talking about taking over the Midwest. Everybody's happy to be back. Jayla looks good as always in her confessionals. Rollie ends up asking Tesehki how she feels about how she feels after knocking out Diamond's tooth. And Tesehki got a mark on her hand after from knocking that tooth out. And it's funny that she says that because, like I told y'all, the last fight that I got into was in the club defending one of my boys. And I have a mark in my hand. I can't find it. It's right here. Because I knocked the dude's tooth a little loose. I ain't knock it out, but I knocked it loose. But, yeah, so she was talking about that. But Tesehki ends up mentioning how her comment on live triggered Diamond into why she wanted to end up fighting and why Diamond ended up making it a bigger issue. So Natalie ends up also letting them know that they're going to Oklahoma. And I want to tell y'all this too, since it's a double recap. I'm not going to be as particularly detailed as I normally would with a normal recap because I would be on here 2 hours if I was doing it. But Tesehki, Natalie ends up talking about how they're going to Oklahoma. And Tesehki's wondering, like, is that the Midwest? Like, why are we going there? And Natalie ends up letting them know, like, Chrisean is there. Chrisean's out of jail. She says Chrisean had reached out to her wanting to come back, but can't really move around because she just got let out and claims that she's in a different place and she wants Natalie to keep her in mind about coming back to the show. Chrisean has since come online and said that was not true. Both of them are liars, so I don't know what is true, but we'll see. But Tesehki ends up talking about how she's got PTSD from the jumping and wasn't planning on meeting with her for anything at this point. But Tesehki ends up saying, like, how would y'all feel if your sister jumped you and had her friend, or not jumped you, but had her friends jump you on TV? And Jayla said, I'd be enraged, but, like, you would essentially think, you know, that's your sister, and you know your sister at her core, so at the end of the day, you would think about that. But on the flip side, I know you're a little fucked up about it. Jayla, I don't agree with that per se, even though I can understand that, but you're talking about a different type of person. Chrisean is not like any other person, but the thing is, too, with any other person, if my sister set me up to get jumped by some dudes, me and my sister would never be the same. We would never be the same. I would never do that to her. I would never have some girls set her up to get jumped. And she would never do it to me either. So I fully understand why Tesehki has an issue with Chrisean. Like, that's a violation. It's like one thing if it's your friend or whatever, you wouldn't be friends, but it really wouldn't hurt you that bad, depending on how close you are with your friends. But blood setting you up, that's something that you can never overlook. But Rollie ends up saying, like, somebody put their hands on Tesehki and she doesn't think that Tesehki is ready to see and speak to Chrisean. Natalie then starts talking about, like, just have a conversation. I say, they can do this shit off camera. They don't need you setting it up. But we get to Tulsa. They get off the jet, and they get into the Sprinter. Anna and Biggie join Tesehki in her hotel room and pretty much want to check on her about how she, like, where she is mentally heading into the meetup with Chrisean. And Tesehki ends up saying, like, she didn't want to do it without everybody because the shit happened in front of everybody. So she's pretty much saying, like, everything that happened publicly, you need to do it publicly. I personally don't feel like this conversation should be had on TV. Well, the way the conversation turned, I feel like it shouldn't have been had on TV. If they was just strictly talking about the jumping and stuff, okay, I get it. But that's where I feel like Tesehki might have been coming from with that. Her thinking like, okay, well, you got me jumped in front of everybody. I feel like you should talk about this in front of everybody. That's what I thought in the moment. Because in this moment, I'm thinking Tesehki is honestly thinking that she's coming here to strictly talk about the jumping. But that's what I was thinking in the moment. We'll get to it. But Tesehki ends up talking about how Anna and Biggie are upset because they can't go. And Chrisean requested just the two of them, her and Tesehki, to be there. which I found interesting that Anna and Biggie couldn't go, even though Anna did eventually end up coming and Biggie was in the car. But Natalie J, well, we'll get to it. In the moment, I thought it was weird because the other girls ended up being there, but I understand why they were there when they got there, but we'll get to it. But then we move to it, the scene. Jayla Rollie, Natalie, and Scotty are going to dinner with Chrisean. And Jayla, she's on edge because she's torn. Like, we all know Jayla has a very tight relationship with Chrisean. They were super close on Baddies South. They was tagging up with each other against Rollie and Slim. Them two was part of the reason why Baddies South was iconic. One of the best seasons of reality TV, definitely the best season of any show that Zeus has put out. Honestly, I'll go down with that. But Rollie's excited. She wants to see the baby and she wants to meet Chrisean's baby and see how Chrisean is. And Scotty's one confessional look that she had. Yikes. That hair? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't have to say nothing else about it. But they get to the restaurant and they cheers to being in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're waiting on Chrisean because she's not there yet. Natalie ends up asking, she said that she asked Tesehki to come a little bit later on. So Chrisean then walks in, and she walks in with Junior. She does look really, really refreshed. She's always been a beautiful girl. I've always said that. That's why I struggle with her being the way she is, because she's beautiful, she's talented, like, especially athletically. Like, she could have been something super, and y'all know track is dear to my heart. Like, that's me. So she ran track too, and she was good. I don't want to say she was like top tier level, but she was good. But she could have had so much, and she has that, but she could amount to so much more, and she could have went a different path. Because when you look at how she used to look back in the day when she was a kid, like when she was 18, like running track, beautiful. She looked refreshed. She looked innocent. Even though coming in, she does look innocent. Like, her spirit does look like, in the moment, it looks like she might be in a different space. We'll get to it. But Natalie starts talking about how it's like an angel coming through when Chrisean walked in. I'm like, okay. But they check in on her, asking her how she's doing or whatever. And she says that she doesn't smoke or drink anymore and she feels great. I hope that's true. I do hope that's true. Natalie's in her confession talking about, bitch, please. Like, you, please. Who you think is believing that? But it just dawned on me in this moment, watching the scene, that every last one, the reason why those girls are there is because they all were on Baddies South together. I don't know if y'all remember that or noticed that, but Jayla, Scotty, Rollie, Natalie, and Chrisean all on Baddies South together. So they're all on another show, another season together. So that's what I thought in the moment. But Chrisean, she ends up saying that Baddies South was, because they start talking about Baddies South. And she starts talking about that was the weakest time in her life or whatever. And she was quick to try and prove a point on Baddies South. And she wants to be the best mom that she can be now. Jayla is getting emotional. Obviously, she's getting emotional because she kind of was like the big sister to Chrisean. And Chrisean's even said that herself. Jayla getting emotional made Chrisean get emotional. She's like, Jayla, why are you over there crying? You're making me cry. Jayla starts talking about how pure and beautiful her energy is now. Like, in this moment, she did look like she was peaceful. Like, her energy seemed like it was pure in the moment. We'll get to it. And I want to say that too, because y'all watched, I don't know if y'all all watched, but those of you that have, when you watched me do the reaction to the Super trailer, I was like, I don't believe Chrisean. I was like, I believe she's literally purposely coming here to do this to set her sister up. We'll get to it, my thoughts on it. But I kind of went back and forth with watching this. When it all unfolded, I kind of went back and forth with watching this because of how composed she was in the moment. But we'll get to it. I'm going to take a deep breath when we do. But Jayla's talking about that. She loves seeing the softer side of Chrisean. She feels like her having a baby is like essentially her baby is having a baby. And Chrisean talks about how she's seen some of the Caribbean or whatever, and she saw the new baddies. Natalie then starts talking about the new girls. We get Ivory's introduction. Ivory looks good. With makeup on, she looks good. Without it, she looks dirty. And if you don't know, I did a live about my thoughts on Young and Reckless. I'm not a fan of Ivory. You throw piss on somebody, you immediately are down there with me. Like, throwing piss on somebody, she's a bully. I hope she shows a different side to herself on this, but I will never forget that. I will never forget it. Jasmine Renee, pretty. Really pretty. Didn't remember her at the auditions. Bad Dolly. I know what she's doing to my girl, but I'm going to give her a clean slate right now. She's also pretty. Big legs. I know what she does to Jayla. But she pretty as fuck. I already know I'm gonna like her. And she went to Shaw. That's in North Carolina. Yoshi is also pretty. All the new girls are pretty. Emma's pretty. Emma kind of looks like, and she got a odd shaped head, but you could tell, you already understand why her and Scotty get into it later on, because they're essentially one of the same, and we all know Lemmy likes those type of girl. Pretty P, she's from Milwaukee. She's pretty. It's just that upper level of teeth, but we'll get to that. And then we got Summer, none other. We already know about Summer. Summer is in the field this season. But we get Diamond's intro, DTB. I love me some Diamond. Love her to death. Love her. Tinkerbella also coming back. But we get Tommy and Slim also come back. So they're just pretty much talking about everybody that's going to be coming. When they said when they said that Slim was coming back, Chrisean's face cracked me up. She said she's just a hater. You a hater too, but honestly, it's funny. But Scotty and Jayla obviously were laughing because they already know. But Akbar, we know she's coming. Jaden is coming. Chrisean was like, she in the house with y'all? It was like, yeah. Jaden, I kind of like Jaden. I don't want her using the N-word. We'll see if she uses it here. And if she does, y'all know I'm going to have some words for her. But Jaden, I feel like Jaden of the Blueface crew, she's probably the most level-headed. And she's probably the most cool. I feel like she has to be brought to a certain level you have to piss her off to a certain level to get her to show her face. But Chrisean ends up talking about how, because they asked, like, how are y'all? And she's like, the last time she really saw her or spoke to her like that was whenever they went and stole that shit from Blueface. And when they was in the car, y'all remember the live, when they was, like, banding up together, and we thought, damn, they finally gonna take him down and actually do the unthinkable, like, link up together and be like, man, fuck him, and keep it moving. But no, it didn't last that long. But she goes and puts Junior down. She put him down somewhere, and it wasn't in the same room. I'm like, that's kind of odd, because I'm like, who else? But then again, we know Chastity is there. So I'm like, maybe she put her in there with Chastity. But she comes back in there, and they start talking about Tesehki and Jaden, and if they had beef. And Chrisean says Tesehki rides coattails, and it's not authentic. I'm like, okay, so here we go. Natalie starts talking about how she's hopeful that they can get past their beef. Chrisean ends up asking Natalie if she's still... This cracked me up. She said, are you still married? Pretty much saying, like, I know what you do. I ain't been here. I just want to know if you still married. Natalie says yes. Chrisean says happily. I said exactly. Natalie says yes. And Chrisean started laughing like, bitch, please. We know you out here cheating. But Natalie ends up talking about how she's been hanging out with too many baddies. That's why. I'm like, yeah, we know. You barely see your child. But Tesehki pulls up. Let me sit back. Let me relax. I'm going to be very careful with my wording here because it's just very uncomfortable to talk about this, honestly. It was uncomfortable to watch. But she gets there and she's optimistic because word on the curb is that Chrisean's coming in with peace. And obviously the last time she saw her, that was the opposite. We then see Chastity, her sister. And she's there as well. Tesehki's outside with her with Chastity's child, who looks to be very much a newborn. And Chastity's crying, Tesehki's holding the baby, and we find out that Tesehki and Chastity have barely spoken to each other as well. Chastity is crying, saying that she doesn't want to fight and didn't want Chrisean to pretty much be here by herself. And Tesehki's like, yeah, I don't want to fight either, but I'm essentially by myself too. Like, I feel like I'm by myself too. And she said, I'm just tired. Tesehki ends up saying that she didn't have an issue with Chastity. She said Chastity misses her. And Tesehki said, I've always been like the lifesaver in this family. And Chastity is essentially in the middle of her and Chrisean, which is true. But Chastity and Tesehki, they walk in. Rollie, Jayla, and Scotty get up. I'm like, Natalie, get the fuck up. Like, get up. This is your time to leave as well. But we'll get to it. Natalie, she then tells Chrisean that she thinks her and Tesehki should have a conversation. Tesehki then comes walking into the room where Chrisean and Natalie are. And she ends up hugging Natalie. And you can tell, like, she looked over at Chrisean, and Chrisean said, hey. And she said hi. And you could tell Tesehki, like, even as hurt as she is, you can still tell she wanted to go over there and embrace her sister. Like, give her a hug. I believe this is the first time she's seen her nephew in person. So you could tell she wanted to kind of embrace. But it's just like, it's too much. It's too much going on. But she goes and sits down on the other side of Natalie. And Natalie pretty much says, I want y'all to sit down. I think it's important that y'all have this conversation. I don't want to get involved because it's family stuff, but I just want y'all to have this conversation. And she gets up and leaves. I said, okay, good. Natalie, you don't need to be here. Even though these cameras don't need to be here. But you don't need to be here. But I wish they would have had Chastity in here at the beginning of the conversation to kind of mediate everything. But she comes eventually, but we'll get to it. Chrisean gets up and she goes and hugs Tesehki at first. I'm like, okay. And Tesehki's like, so what are we doing? Chrisean says, I'm okay. She said, are you okay? Tesehki said, I'm okay in life, but like the backlash and the things that y'all did, talking about Janet, Marsh, Chrisean, and the things that y'all said about me is not cool. No lie there. Tesehki ends up saying, I get when you're mad, you say stuff, but you're not just anybody. Like, you're my blood. You're my sister. Like, you're my little baby sister. Like, anything that you do that could literally hurt me, I'm gonna take it a lot harder than anybody else that randomly on the street that I don't know nothing about would do it. If they did that to me, it's like you put yourself in her shoes. Yes, if anybody else randomly on the street did this type of shit, yeah, you're gonna be mad, but like, they don't mean shit to you at the end of the day. When it's your own family and your own blood that's doing that shit to you, setting you up, that type of shit hits differently. But Chrisean ends up saying, you say stuff too. Tesehki says, I'd never call you a child, you know what, that I can't say, or you know what, that I can't say, when I know it's not true. Chrisean says, so do you want to talk about it, or what? Tesehki says, like, I want to talk about you jumping me, you making up shit, talking about that stuff. She said straight up, let's get to it. Like, what is it? Like, what is it? And this is where she immediately started off, like, we could talk about this shit. Like, what do you want to talk about? Like, you have an issue, talk about this shit. Chrisean said, my truth is my truth. Tesehki said, so what's your truth? And Chrisean said, so are we gonna sit down and get this straight? We don't have to talk about that. We don't have to talk about what was said, but why would we backtrack? And this is where I'm like, Chrisean. And she started trying to gaslight. She was gaslighting Tesehki the whole time, honestly. And I'm like, because you can't sit here and say, why would we backtrack when you haven't addressed the reason why y'all have an issue? And the reason y'all have an issue is past shit. You can't move forward until you address the things that have hurt either one of you in the past. You can't just like walk over something like that. You can't do that. You have to address it. And that's the thing with Chrisean, she lacks accountability. She doesn't want to take accountability for when she's wrong and she hurts other people, but she wants them to do it for her. But Tesehki said it's not backtracking, it's real life. Where's the lie? Tesehki said everything that I've done is a retaliation. Basically saying like anything that I've done or said that might be wrong was because you did something first to me. It's not a lie. When you sit and think about everything that Tesehki's done on TV, her fighting Janet and Marsh is because she got jumped. Her fighting E.T. was because E.T. got online saying things about her that we don't know to be true, which are very damaging allegations. That's why she went and fought her at that reunion. Like, let's just keep it real. And then we can say the same thing about Diamond. But Tesehki ends up saying that she's confused, and Chrisean says, you're not confused. I'd rather talk to Latifah and not Tesehki. I'm like, okay, so what are we doing? Tesehki says, I always come as Latifah. Like, Tesehki is my middle name too. And Chrisean says, well, I came here as your little sister Chrisean. And Chrisean says Tesehki has a chip on her shoulder. Tesehki said, I feel like I deserve an apology. And Chrisean says, we don't have to apologize. We can just move forward. No, you can't. No, you can't. And then her having a chip on her shoulder, obviously she has a chip on her shoulder because the last time she saw you, your friends that you allowed and told to do it jumped her. That's the last time she saw you. So why would she not still have that chip on her shoulder? Why would she still not have an issue with you not addressing it? Like, I don't understand that. But Chrisean then says, we don't have to apologize. We can just move forward. No, you can't. Tesehki ends up saying, talking about how her and Chastity had a conversation, and Chastity ended up apologizing to her before they even got deep into the conversation, and she didn't even have to do that. She's like, I told her she didn't have to apologize, and she did it. Basically saying, like, we took accountability because we care enough about each other that we want to move forward, and the only way we can move forward is by apologizing for hurting the other person. So that's essentially what she's saying to kind of get Chrisean to understand that's all we got to do. That's all we got to do. Tesehki then starts talking about how Chrisean had made these texts to her, sending her texts that were apparently vulgar, rude, whatever the case may be. But she's clearly uncomfortable. Tesehki's body language, you can tell she's looking around. Like, you could tell she's uncomfortable. You could tell she kind of already understands and knows where this conversation is probably going to end up going. And you can tell she's uncomfortable. Chrisean is very calm. I'm very in tune with body language. I watch a lot of body language to see, and that's where you can tell who's lying and who's not. In this moment, I was looking at Chrisean like, damn, okay, what she's saying could possibly 100% be true. Because she was too calm to be saying some of the stuff that she was saying. But we'll get to it. But, bear with me, I'm reading these notes. They're all over the place. There was so much going on. Tesehki ends up asking Chrisean if she even likes her. Like, I know you love me, but do you even like me? And that's a good question. Because, like, you can love somebody, but do you really like that person? Like, do you really like me? Chrisean's like, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't introduce you to Zeus, Baddies, yada, yada. Yeah, that could be true, but where are you at now, though? Where are you at now? That was the past. Where are you at now? Tesehki ends up saying, like, I said what my issue... She said that what her issue is... Oh, wait. Tesehki ends up saying that I said what my issue is, and that's that. And Tesehki ends up saying, essentially, the meeting is pointless because I don't know what you want from me. Like, what do you want from me? Chrisean ends up saying that she feels like Tesehki is still upset. Obviously, she's still upset. Obviously, like, you haven't even taken accountability for what you did. Like, why would she not still be upset? But Chrisean ends up saying that she can be upset and get out of character, talking about herself. I can get upset and get out of character, but what's the point? Tesehki ends up saying, like, I don't want to play mind games with you, because essentially Chrisean is beating around the bush. She's not really saying what her issue is with Tesehki, or at least trying to take accountability for how she made Tesehki feel doing what she did. But Tesehki ends up saying that she's not beefing with her, but will never be the same. Rightfully so. But Chrisean ends up talking about how I'm not accusing you, or do you want me to move on? Tesehki ends up asking, accusing me of what? Chrisean says, I'm not apologizing for what I said because it's true. Tesehki said, what's true? Chrisean says you wanted to play house. Tesehki ends up saying, with who? Say the story so we can hear it. Chrisean says, so it's weird because black families like to brush over shit and act like it didn't happen. While that can be true, because it is true, a lot of things happen we black people, you already know. We are the type of community that likes to not even talk about certain things. A lot of the time we don't talk about things. We're notorious for not going to therapy, which is extremely important. Extremely important. We don't really talk about our issues like that. And that's essentially what she's saying. So that is true to an extent. But this whole situation, Chrisean's bringing stuff up. Like I said, she's bringing stuff up that is damaging. But she's dropping it but not wanting to talk about it. So you're bringing it up to speak on your truth, as you claim. But when Tesehki asks you to talk about it, say your story, why aren't you saying it? Why aren't you saying it? That's the part that makes me doubt Chrisean. Because I'm like looking at her body language as she's saying this stuff. Her body language is giving off that she's very confident in what she's saying. So it's making me think that it is possibly true, allegedly. And Tesehki's fidgeting and stuff, and Tesehki looks like she's very uncomfortable. So that type of stuff is making me like, I don't know. I don't know what to believe in the moment. But Tesehki ends up saying, like, with who? Say the story so we all can hear it. And Chrisean said what she said, and Tesehki says, it's not black families. This is your time to speak. Chrisean then says, nobody is blaming you. And this is where I'm like, okay, maybe Chrisean's coming into this with a good mindset and a good intention, because she's not blaming Tesehki for what allegedly had happened. Because like I said, with her stating that she's 7 years old, Tesehki would have been 12. That is still a child. No child at that age, at least me, I was at 12 years old, I wasn't thinking about sex. I wasn't thinking about anything sexual. So at 12 years old, if you're thinking about something like that, it very likely has already happened to you. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part about it all. If it's true, that's the sad part about it all. Because it's learned behavior. As a child, you don't do certain things like that, like racism and stuff. That stuff is taught. You don't come out the womb hating black people. So you don't come out the womb doing that. Like, as a kid, you don't. So it's sad. It's just sad. It's really, really sad. But Chrisean said, I'm trying to keep my composure, which she is. I can't say that. But she says that why do we have to talk about it? We can't just talk about new things. Tesehki said that I apologized because, Chrisean, you were saying that I hurt you, and I apologize for the things that I might have did that hurt you. She said that's what taking accountability is. I said, exactly, Tesehki. You're doing that, but she can't even take accountability for setting you up. She can't even take accountability for Satan damaging things about you that could be true, could not be true. But regardless, doing certain things, it's all premeditated. It's very calculated to me. That's why I can't with Chrisean. But Tesehki ends up saying that you got me jumped. Tesehki says, or Chrisean says that you not. Excuse me. Ooh. Tesehki ends up saying I never got you jumped. Chrisean ends up saying I didn't get you jumped. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. We all watched it. But Chrisean is saying, where's the footage of you bumping me on the bus while I was pregnant? Talking about during Baddies East. She said, roll the footage. Zeus rolled the footage. Tesehki didn't bump her. The clip they showed did not show her bumping her. But they get up for a moment. And they switch sides. Chrisean's now where Tesehki was. Tesehki's where Chrisean was. Chrisean ends up asking, what's the issue? Tesehki says, I'm not about to keep saying it. Chrisean says, you keep calling me a liar, and says that nobody lied. I know what happened when I was 7. Tesehki said, this is too much. The baby's here. It's a lot going on. She says, how are you going to justify what you did to me? Tesehki then says, also, talk about how... she starts talking about how she got jumped, Smiley hitting her. Chrisean says Smiley wasn't even hitting you. I don't think Smiley was hitting her, if I remember correctly. But Chrisean then says, I remember when I was 7 and you made me eat your... And I knew that's where this episode was going to end. That was the end of episode 1. We're about to get into episode 2. If you have not already, thumbs up the video. If you have not already, subscribe. Turn your post notifications on. We're going live tomorrow to talk about this, probably around 8 p.m. But I'm about to get me a water break, and we're about to get into episode 2. All right, so Tesehki says, what? She said, what the fuck did she just say? And she keeps asking people around, like, can she repeat what she just said? What did she just say? And Chrisean tries to walk away, and Chastity walks in at this point. I'm like, why was she not here the whole time? But she then sits in between them, because Chrisean ends up walking back to the other side where she was, and Chastity's in between the two of them. Chrisean is up rocking Junior around, and Tesehki ends up saying, like, she needs to sit down because Chrisean is all over the place. Chrisean says, I'm not. Honestly, in the moment, from a physicality standpoint, Chrisean is calm. I will say that. She is calm. I hate to admit it, but she is. Tesehki was more frazzled than anything. But Tesehki ends up saying that she's never heard of that, talking about what she just said. I've never heard of that in my life. But now that she's gotten so popular, Chrisean is now trying to find a way to make people hate her. Exactly what I said. And I fully believe that. Say what you want to say. I'm not trying to discredit anything that Chrisean might have experienced in her life. But I just find it so ironic how she got out of jail. The last time you saw your sister, you were at odds, and you looked the worst out of anything. The majority consensus of everything that happened when Tesehki had gotten jumped, and when I say the majority consensus of everybody that was viewing the show, we all looked at Chrisean funny because you set your own sister up to get jumped by your friends. Like, that is the most shiestiest shit you could do. So that was our last impression of her going into jail, and then you come out of jail. You come out of jail, and the first thing you do is get on TV and then say some stuff like this. After you didn't say anything about this the last time you was on TV with your sister, when she came on the show and was essentially about to fight for you. Remember when she was about to fight Natalie? But now that she wasn't doing what you wanted her to do, which was fight Anna and Woe Vicky, you then get her jumped, and then you come back out to then drop this. It's very calculated. You want to damage her personally career because Tesehki has grown up too. That's number one. Tesehki's popularity grew after she beat up Marsh and Janet. It got even higher when she beat up E.T. at that reunion. And it just took off even more because not only that, she can fight, she's pretty, And she's talented. If you ask me, she's more musically talented than Chrisean. I literally have Tesehki's song on my fucking phone, and I listen to this song pretty frequently. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's a very good song. She makes good music. So Tesehki has a lot of stuff going for her, and I feel like Chrisean is jealous. I don't think she likes the fact. I feel like Chrisean is one of those sisters, one of those siblings that wants to be the only one that's successful, so that she can give you the money when she wants to give it to you, but you can't be on that same level with her. She wants to be the top dog. She wants to be that one. And you can having siblings that are jealous of you and envious of you getting success. You got to watch out for them. But Tesehki ends up saying that she's never heard about that in her life or whatever. And Tesehki ends up saying, like, I got to handle my business the legal way. Chastity asks where she's going. Tesehki says then Tesehki ends up asking, have we ever fought? And I think she was asking her friend at this point. But Chrisean says, never. They said never physically. As we all know, Chrisean don't want that. Like, let's keep it real. Tesehki ends up talking about how when Chrisean was getting bombed with eggs on Baddies East, her sister instinct kicked in immediately. Even when they were disagreeing and arguing or whatever, she still put that to the side and was ready to fight them girls for her. I remember that. Tesehki then also brings up the video where she could hear Chrisean saying to Janet and March to beat the shit out of her. And she was like, she heard them asking, like, who you want me to beat up? And she said Tifa. So you set your sister up. Like, it was on, like, it's and that's what Tesehki said. It was on video. But Chrisean ends up saying that you said that I was plotting on you. Cool, so can we move on? No. Because you still have not taken accountability for it. You don't feel any remorse for it. So why would you be able to move on? You don't feel remorse for it. You can't even say, I'm sorry for doing that. Why would she want to move on with you? Why would she? And then you just said some damaging things. Like I said, I don't want to discredit her for saying what she's saying. I'm not going to say that it didn't happen, but I'm not going to say that it did happen. But I'm not picking sides, honestly. In this situation, I'm not picking sides in that situation. But where I will pick a side is, I don't feel like Tesehki has ill will towards Chrisean. I feel like Chrisean has ill will towards her sister, it's weird. It's weird. And Tesehki says, no, you're just a weirdo and you're lucky you got that baby, because I would do what these people want me to do right now. Like, I would beat the shit out of you at this point. And I don't blame her. The way she's gaslighting her after everything she's already done to her, like, come on. But Chrisean, like I said, she knows better, because she's talking about, I'm on probation and da-da-da. You wouldn't want to get in the field with your sister. Anybody else, you would have. But you know what your sister possesses. Let's keep it real. But Chastity ends up asking if they want to pray. Chrisean says, you don't ask, just do it. I get it on both ends. Like, most people ask, even though that's her sister, so she knows that they would want to be able to pray over it. But sometimes you got to ask people, do you mind if I pray over you? But they go ahead and do it. And Chastity starts the prayer. Tesehki doesn't even look engaged. Chrisean barely does too. But Chastity starts crying mid-prayer, saying that she can't do it. It's too much. Chrisean then takes over and thanks the Lord for getting them all at least under one roof together again. They say amen. Tesehki clearly is ready to go. She ends up saying, like, I said what I said. She said what she said. She gonna stand on it. She said, I'm done talking at this point. Chrisean says, you don't even have to apologize. Tesehki said, I've already done it already. Like, I've already done it. She has. And Tesehki ends up mentioning how Chrisean was drinking while she was pregnant. Y'all remember that? Because I do. I remember when she was smoking when she was pregnant. I do. But Chrisean's talking about, why are you lying? There's footage. We all saw it. Like, it was happening during... Like, it literally was all over social media. Like, when that time was social media where you can open up Twitter or Instagram and not see Chrisean in blueface, that's when it was all happening. But she said, you putting this narrative out there. I said, oh, rich coming from you, considering the narrative you're pushing now. Like, what Tesehki says, it's all retaliation. She only brought this up because of what you've done the whole episode. You literally painted narratives on her, too. Like, I don't get it. But Chrisean ends up saying that, I didn't drink from the bottle. The baby is blessed. Tesehki said, obviously, every child is. But they start going back and forth. Tesehki ends up bringing how she wants Chrisean to talk about the 7 thing. Pretty much saying, you talked about it, so really tell your story. Because she's like, I didn't forget. Like, I don't have amnesia. Pretty much saying, like, I don't remember ever doing that. We think it's Shavante, which is Tesehki's friend on the side, pretty much vouching for everything Tesehki has said. And she ends up saying that Chrisean decided to bring this up when you have a platform and you talking about this is stuff that family goes through. If family goes through it, go through it with your family off TV. I said, talk about it, Shavante. That's what I said. And she ends up saying, like, why is it not staying in the family? I said, exactly, why is it not staying within the family? This type of stuff needs to be worked out within the family. We don't need to see this. We don't need to see this. But the reason why it's being brought up is because you want to hurt your family, which is what Shavante said. Like, why throwing it back out here and putting on TV? If you have genuine intentions, you wouldn't do that. Bringing it to TV is to hurt your family. That's what you want to do. Chrisean is sitting there saying nobody is hurt. The shit is getting weird when money's involved. I said, exactly. That's why it's weird. You did that because your sister's now getting popular and she's making money. You don't like that. And then she ends up saying, because Shavante walks out, Tesehki says, I'm ready to go because it's clear it's not going to get anywhere. Chrisean ends up talking about how Tesehki's trying to pull her skeletons out the closet. I said, are you serious? What have you done to Tesehki this whole time? What you're accusing her of. But they get back to talking about her drinking with the child. Tesehki's talking about how she brought up... Chrisean is talking about how Tesehki... Chrisean is talking about how she brought Tesehki with her when she had got to the top. Pretty much saying, like, I got up here and I brought y'all with me. Tesehki starts getting emotional. And she's now saying, like, why would you ever be in my house if I ever did some weird shit to you? Like, she's crying now. She's walking out. You can tell she's clearly emotional. I didn't like seeing her crying. I didn't. Like... I don't think we've really seen her cry like this. And it made me upset watching her like that. Like, I don't feel like Tesehki's a bad person. I don't. And I hate that a lot of people want her to be that. I don't feel like she is. Maybe there's stuff that I don't know, but I just genuinely don't feel like that. I hope I'm not wrong. But that's just how I felt watching this. It was very difficult to watch. But Chrisean ends up talking to Chastity while Tesehki's outside, saying, why couldn't Tesehki just bring one family member here? Like, I brought my family here, but she brought a friend. But Tesehki, she's pretty much saying, like, you done did so much to your family, like, why you couldn't bring... But Tesehki goes outside where Jayla and the rest of them are, and her friend is out there too, and Anna's now outside. And she's saying, I'm suing her for defamation of character, as you should if it's not true. And Tesehki starts crying again, talking about how weird it is, how she changed once she got on the screen, talking about Chrisean. She starts crying, saying it makes her feel like everybody is using her, and it's sad. But Anna walks off with her, and you could tell, like I said, there's a lot of things I can say about Anna. But I truly feel like Anna genuinely cares for Tesehki. I feel like they have a sister bond. I honestly do. I feel like Biggie, to a certain extent, does, but I feel like Biggie's one of the ones that uses Tesehki. She wants Tesehki to fight her battles. I do believe that she likes Tesehki and has a genuine love for Tesehki, but I feel like it's for a benefit for her. Anna, I truly believe her and Tesehki are like this. I do feel like they genuinely got close and have like a real sister bond, which is why I feel like Tesehki did what she did later on in what's coming on in the season, but we'll get to it. But Tesehki's walking off with Anna and Shavante, talking about how cuckoo her sister is. Chrisean's back in there talking to Chastity about wanting to do ministry and fellowship with other girls, talking about her show, talking about protecting Chrisean Jr. from Tesehki. She then starts talking about how she got Tesehki out the hood, how she's no longer stripping. I'm like, see, this is that type of shit. Like, you that type of one in your family that likes to put people down and want to do certain things to make them... It's like you don't want to forget where you came from, but if you came from a bad past, she's the type of person that's going to smear that in your face. No matter how successful you become, she wants you to always remember that. And she wants you to always remember it in a negative light. Not in a way of like, oh, well, this is where I came from. I literally grinded and got all the way up here. She wants to be the one that be like, nah, I got you out of that. That's where you used to be. That's why she's evil. That little girl is evil. And I can't stand how she brings God. She brings God into all of this demonic... I was about to cuss, but I don't say the Lord's name in the same sentence while I cuss. Finish the sentence. She brings his name into that bullshit that she be trying to spew. That evil, demonic shit. Like, it's fucked up. But Chastity is telling her to stop. And Chrisean's talking about how she got peace. And Chastity's like, but you got to think about the other person. I have never been so excited to see Natalie and Scotty, because that was the next scene. We get the next day. Because that was rough. That was rough. I know I'm going to have a lot of mixed opinions in the comments. Just keep it respectful. You can have your opinions. Just keep it respectful. If you don't, you get blocked. It's just that simple. But Natalie and Scotty, like I said, I've never been more excited to see them. They're walking into a restaurant to meet Diamond the Body, Akbar, and Jaden. Diamond comes walking in her Dolce & Gabbana workout set. She got her DTB chain. She got a couple mother... She iced out. Diamond has the money before the Zeus money. Like, that's a boss. That's a baddie. But she says that she had apologized to Natalie, but Natalie had never apologized to her, because we all know that it was beefed out come the reunion. But Diamond ends up showing off her ice. Natalie's talking about, we need to get you a baddie chain on there. I have something for you. And Scotty's like, do you even want the chain? I'm like, Diamond don't really need the chain. But Diamond was like, so you know I should have been done had it, essentially. She should have been done had it last season. But Akbar, she comes in, she joins them, she's happy to be there. Natalie asks her if she's nervous to be there. And Akbar says, when you a real bitch, if you a real bitch, you gonna fuck with me. Like, I'm not tripping about it. But Jaden comes walking in. Scotty starts talking about how Jaden gives her like mom vibes, laid back vibes. She kind of does. But they start talking about Diamond getting her tooth knocked out. Akbar asked if it was the real tooth. Diamond said, yeah, it was the real tooth. She knocked my shit out the root. I said, damn. Because the whole time I was sitting here thinking it was the veneer. That was the real tooth out the root. Akbar said, damn, that bitch hit hard. I said, and Diamond said, hell yeah, she do. And she ends up saying that her confessionals, like, people ask her if she want her to lick back with Tesehki. She said, hell no, I ain't fighting no MMA fighter. Like, she said, I'll take that L. You can have it. That's why I love Diamond. I love her. But she said she knows she's a fighter. Tesehki is. And essentially, like, I know she's a fighter, but I wasn't scared. I'm not scared of her. I'm not scared of anybody. I'm like, exactly, as you shouldn't be. But Natalie starts talking about how the tooth had fell into her lap and she put it in her boot. When Diamond was on live, that's when she pulled it out and put it on the phone. Whatever. Natalie then talks about how Jaden had knocked out a tooth as well. Jaden's like, not technically, like Chrisean failed. We all remember that. But Akbar likes how Jaden ain't got, she's not gonna be the type to do too much. Jaden strikes me as kind of like what I said I would be if I was on TV. I would never be doing too much to get on the camera. Like, y'all probably would call me boring. Like, I probably would give you commentary, and if you bring me some, if I was on a show where somebody would try and fight me, I'm not going to start it. But if you bring it to me, I'm definitely going to give it to you. I'm not no punk. Like, you're not going to be able to punk me. And if you start with me and you get within arm's reach, I'm hitting you first. You're not going to ever get the chance to hit me first. But that's pretty much how Jaden, that's the vibe she's giving. But Jaden ends up talking about how her and Chrisean don't really talk that much. They pretty much welcomed her well. And she said that she felt welcomed as a newbie. But Natalie ends up talking about how getting all the baddies together. Diamond ends up saying that, can I change first? Because Diamond's expecting to have to fight. She's not stupid. I'm like, good. But the food comes out and they're actually eating. I said, okay, they're eating. They actually eating. But Natalie ends up talking about how Diamond and Rollie gonna have to address their shit. Diamond says she ain't ducking no smoke with Rollie, as you shouldn't. As you shouldn't. She said Rollie had made a comment about her not getting a baddie chain. And Diamond said, I made a post that says, don't play with me, go play with your kid. And if you feel some type of way about it, line that shit up. Y'all know her song. And that's the truth. Like, she didn't say nothing about her child. Like, I hate when people say, when they say like something adjacent to your child, like go be a mom, go take care of your kid. That's not talking about your kid. That's talking about you. Like, your priorities are not in check. Granted, Rollie's getting money for her child, but and same thing with Natalie, but they be gone. Granted, Rollie's child is older. Natalie is missing a lot of pivotal moments with her child that she's not gonna get back. But it's all for her though. I can't knock Natalie. She's getting her, and she does. She puts all that money back to Journey. So good for her. But Diamond ends up saying, I ain't say nothing about her child. Diamond says that I don't give a fuck. I'll address Rollie when we get to the house. Like, fighting outside in public, I'm not doing that because it fucks the bag up. That's a real boss woman. But Natalie ends up saying in her confessionals that trolling and talking about people's kids is an immediate ass whoop. And I said, you would know. She said, I don't understand why she'd say anything about Rollie's son, about her son. I said, Natalie, that's rich coming from you. You remember how we met you? You the one having kids and don't know who the dad is. Who's the hoe now? That's why Portia ended up getting on you. Come on. But Jayla and Rollie, they're in Detroit as well. They're sitting down waiting on Tesehki, Anna, and Biggie to join them. They come in, good energy, hugging each other. Anna's talking about how she's going to be a cop caller this season, jokingly. Anna's talking about how people want to fight her for not giving her ticket to them at the auditions, talking about the new girls. And Jayla's talking about how do you have beef already? Essentially, like, how do you have beef already? But Rollie ends up saying that Diamond, Bad Dolly probably are the ones with the issue. Anna ends up talking about how her issue with Bad Dolly is the fact that she was fighting people with rings, splitting their shit. We already know, because we saw it. But Anna ends up saying also Summer none other, because she had realized that she had blocked her because she was looking, when the cast was announced, she was looking at all the girls and went to click on her shit and she didn't see it. Then she started searching her and realized that she blocked her, and then went and looked at the messages and had 40 plus messages of Summer cussing her out. But Tesehki ends up saying that all the girls is beefing with Anna essentially is over Mariah Lynn. It's the truth. But Rollie, her issue with Diamond is about her talking about her child and doing weird shit. I said, no, you started with Diamond. You was the one that started picking with Diamond online, which is why Diamond came back at you. But Jayla ends up talking about Tulsa. And how it was a lot for everybody seeing Chrisean after so many years. She said, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but if you do, we can. Tesehki ends up saying that she gave Chrisean the floor and was willing to take accountability for anything that she did wrong. But essentially, she got the clarity because she now knows where they stand, which is true. And that's good. Like, it's sad where they are, but at least Tesehki understands now and has a recent picture of where her sister is mentally. But Anna ends up saying that she knew she wanted to do it for TV. Tesehki says essentially she did it publicly, so that's, you're supposed to do it on TV. Like, you humiliated me publicly, so you need to come up here and do it. But you're not trying to take accountability to save face. And she starts getting emotional again. She then also says she thinks the reason why she fights so good is because she's always had to defend herself. Y'all bear with me. I've been talking for 52 minutes. I need y'all to run them lights up. Run them up. I'm losing my voice. But she gets emotional again, and she ends up saying the reason why she fights so good is because she always has to defend herself. Anna starts crying watching her. Essentially, all of them are crying at this point. But Anna gets to move back up. This is the part about Anna that I like. She does, apart from the sneak in and the, well, even though I do love her mouth, though. Her mouth is reckless. Some of the stuff I love. There's a certain level where I feel like you go too far. She does go too far sometimes. But when she's funny, she's funny. But she gets to move back up about going out and everything. But Rollie is still emotional. She is crying now, like really crying. I don't think I've seen Rollie cry like this ever. And she's crying because it hits home for her. Like, a lot of the same things that Tesehki's now going through, she relates to. And Jayla ends up saying, like, people just expect you to have it all figured out, and you don't really know the answers, and you just try to find a way. Anna, cracking the mood again, she said, can you make a way for these bitches that's trying to fight me right now to not fight me? They all start laughing. I was laughing. It was funny. But we finally get to the last scene. Natalie and Scotty, they head to the welcome party in Detroit. It looks like they're at some bar that they done blocked off. Akbar and Jaden, they're there as well. Tinkerbella arrives. Tinkerbella looks good. She should always have makeup on. Always have makeup on. But she comes in with the good energy. She's twerking and everything. They start taking shots to elevating. I'm happy that she's here without Meatball. We can finally see her kind of have fun. But she ends up saying that, yes, she's elevated. Her daughter's in private school now. I said, okay, I see you. That's good. But Rollie ends up getting off the bus with them knocked knees. Like I said, that's her next. You started to look good from up here, but let's work on them knees next. Let's work on that. But the rest of the girls, they come in as well, and they join the girls. Everybody's having good energy. Akbar wants to have fun, get drunk, make money, go to the club. Diamond is pulling up with her mouth guard. I said, okay, she ready. Short sneakers. She got a swim cap on. She ready. I said, let's go. She said, I'm ready because I know Rollie gonna be on that type of time if she's here, as I'm expecting her to be here. Rollie sees her, walks up to her, and says, let's get it. And the first round, it was giving tie. Rollie low-key was swimming. I was like, Diamond, you need to give her that swim cap. Because she low-key was swimming. Diamond was getting her a little bit off balance. I was like, okay, good. Rollie obviously wants another round. Security's blocking them. Diamond's like, move back. Like, we too far forward. Like, there's no space to fight. Move back. They square up again. They both start swinging. We don't know what really happened. We'll see next week. It looks like they went another round next week. The new girls come. Like the new girls. The Bad Dollies, the Big Lexes, the Summers, they come. We get Anna versus Summer. It was so many fights in this damn trailer. Anna versus Summer. Ivory versus Jayla. Starting of that. We didn't see them fighting, but they kind of addressed some shit. And they both on that, like, okay, if it's going to be some shit, it's going to be some shit. Ivory versus Summer. Anna versus Biggie. About Biggie being a punk, not wanting to fight. And she's like, I've always been there for you. She has. Biggie, if you don't get in the field, I'm gonna wear you out. But it's a lot of fights going on. Big Legs and Ivory, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not gonna pick favorites until I'm gonna give it episode 5. I'm taking from the Brooke Ashley. She don't pick favorites on her shows with new people until episode 5. I'm gonna do the same thing because Callie Coon made me look like a fool last season because I was like, I like her. Just for me to turn around and she's one of the ones that I dislike the most. But that was the premiere. Double recap. I gave y'all an hour of talking. Please thumbs up this video. Please give me to 400. Let's exceed it. Let's get 600. But subscribe if you are new here. Please do that. Please share the video. Turn your post notifications on. Myself, Movie Bay, and Legend will be live tomorrow. I'm going to hit up January Flowers. I don't want to make her get on here every Monday because I know she goes live on Tuesday. I like to have Jan on when we do like the big episodes, the episodes that are like super talking worthy. But this one kind of is. So I'm gonna hit her up and see what we can do. But yeah, around 8 o'clock, we're going to see y'all then. Pray for me, y'all, that my toe is not broke, even though I think it is. But I'll see y'all then. Peace. I'm going to bed.